Hi, thanks for joining me today. It's Megan. We will focus today in our yoga sequence on the hips, the legs, some strength and balance work. We're going to start out today in child's pose. Let's go ahead and find a comfortable child's pose. If we'd like to outstretch the arms, we can certainly do that. Or take those arms and wrap them around the back, maybe clasping onto the heels. We're going to sit the tailbone back toward the heels, really just let our bodies relax. Find a comfortable position for your body. If you want to stack the fists, place the head on the fist, or maybe even place the head on a block, that's certainly fine. We're just going to take a few moments here to establish our breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Just notice your breath as you come to your mat this morning. Notice how you feel. Notice the state of the body. From the top of the head all the way down to those toes, check in, taking inventory of how you feel. Know that we can always modify, especially when we're practicing on our own at home, not worrying about what anybody else is thinking. This time on our mat is ours. It's about listening to our bodies, paying attention to what we need. So let's make sure that we do what we need today, making sure that we feel comfortable with what we're doing and that we're not experiencing any pain. Challenging ourselves without taking ourselves to that level of pain. And coming back to our breath, notice the inhales and the exhales. If it's comfortable for us, we're going to keep the mouth closed, breathing in through the nose and exhaling out through the nose. Watch that breath travel up through the body and then exhale it back out. We're going to continue to breathe through our practice, not worrying about the breath per se, but just making sure that we maintain a nice steady flow of the breath. And anytime the mind starts to wander, we'll come back to that breath. Let's embrace this moment, embrace this opportunity that we have to take care of our mind, our body, our spirit, all together at one time. Embracing this gift of life that we have. This new day that we have, this new opportunity to maybe redeem ourselves, maybe to believe in ourselves again. Let's begin to reach out through the fingertips. If we have those arms wrapped around the heels, let's reach them out in front of us. Breathe through those fingertips. Lift the elbows off the mat. Draw the shoulder blades back toward the hips. Maybe go from side to side. And a little bit of motion there. And then we're going to lift up onto those hands, tuck the toes, and press back into our first downward facing dog. We can bicycle the heels, move it around a little bit. We're going to flow at a nice steady pace. So again, if we need to take rest at any time, let's make sure that we do that. And then settle into our down dog, focusing here on the low belly. Let's take that belly button, that low belly, draw it up toward the spine, hollowing out the belly, taking the shoulders back toward the hips, really releasing the heels down toward the ground, but knowing we can have them bend there in the knees if we need to. And then we'll soften the knees, and we're going to step forward, taking as many steps as we need to, into a forward fold position, letting the hamstrings breathe, the head release down toward the ground. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale down, bend the knees deep. Let's roll up or a reverse swan dive. Do what feels good to you. Come all the way up, reach the hands up toward the sky, and then exhale, fold forward. Just going to flow this a few times. Inhale, flat back. Exhale down, bend the knees deep, roll all the way up. Reach the hands up toward the sky. One more time. Exhale, fold forward. We can take the hands out to the sides or down through the center. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, down, bend the knees deep, roll all the way up. Starting out here with a little bit of a warm-up. Bringing the hands down into heart center as we sit into a chair. Take an inhale here in the chair. On the exhale, explode up into a standing position, opening the arms wide. We're going to do that a few times. Inhale down. Exhale, blow out through the mouth. Maybe open the mouth. Nice big breath. Inhale back down. Exhale one more time, explode up, open those arms wide, sweep them all the way down and around, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, bend the knees deep, come all the way up, reach the hands up toward the sky, take that right arm down, reach it across, the left arm across the body, lateral stretch on the left side, then switch arms, right arm comes up, left arm comes down, breathe. Both hands come up toward the sky, take those hands behind the back, we can clasp the hands together or have the palms facing, open the heart and the chest. And then let those hands come down to the sides. We're going to step to the long side of the mat. Turning the toes out slightly. Inhale, reach the hands up toward the sky with the fingertips spread wide. Exhale down into a deep play squat. This first one, let's just take a glance down there at those knees, making sure that the legs are open wide enough that when we bend into this squat, the knees are generally tracking over the heels. Inhale, reach up. Straightening the legs and exhale, deep plie. Let's keep breathing like this. Make it feel good. Big wide movement. Starting to breathe into those hips. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, down. One more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, down. This time, inhale, reach the hands up toward the sky. On the exhale, sweeping the hands forward, hinging forward at the hips, circling the arms down and around. Inhale, lift all the way back up. Exhale, hinge forward, bend deep into those knees. Starting to wake up the inner thighs. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hinge. One more time. Inhale, big breath. Exhale, hinge. And as we come to the ground, let's bring the fingertips to the ground, keeping the knees bent. We're just going to shift over into one knee. So the right knee is bent, the left leg is straight. And then the other side, just going from side to side again. Breathing into the hips, the large muscles of the legs, maybe the glutes, engaging the core. So let's notice the core. Have we lost track of it? Draw the belly button in, make sure we can still breathe though. And then go to the opposite side one more time on each side. And then soften both knees, walking the hands toward that right leg. We're going to step the right leg back toward the left. Find a center plank. Strong plank, creating a nice long line from the top of the head all the way down through the heels. And have the feet about hip distance apart here. Imagine gripping the mat with the balls of the feet. So we almost pull those feet toward one another, creating some dynamic tension. Do the same thing with the hands. So use that mat, the stickiness of the mat, to create some resistance. Draw the elbows in toward the body. Soften the knees and then press back into downward facing dog. We're going to bend the knees, stepping forward into our forward fold. Inhaling to a flat back. Exhale down, bend the knees deep, roll all the way up. Reach the hands up toward the sky. Breathe into those fingertips. Exhale, fold forward, moving into a few sun salutations. That will change them up. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the hands, step back to plank. Exhale to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, lift back into downward facing dog. We're trying to make a steady flow movement. Instead of moving like robots, let's soften the knees. Stepping the right foot forward in between the hands, keeping the fingertips down on the ground. We can always use a block here too if we'd like to lift up a little higher, maybe even the right thigh. Shifting the hips down and forward, making sure that right knee stays over the heel, reaching out through the crown of the head. We're still hinged at the hips. We call this a runner stretch. And taking the hands back down. Stepping back into downward facing dog. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So step the left foot forward in between the hands, assisting it as needed. Finding that runner stretch, finding the length, noticing the right hip flexor in particular. Take another breath there. And then step the left foot back into plank. Exhale through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, sweep back into down dog, and just hold here and breathe. Notice where the mind starts to wander when you hold. And that quietness, where does the mind go? Gather things back together, come back to the breath. Soften the knees, let's step forward into forward fold, not making any judgments about where the mind tends to go, but just being aware and noticing. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, bend the knees deep, come all the way up, reach the hands up toward the sky. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, soften the knees. Let the hands step back to plank. Exhale to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. Soften the knees here. Sweep the right foot in between the hands. The left knee comes down. Lift the arms up toward the sky as we keep the left toes tucked under. Find a low lunge. Again, creating some of that dynamic tension as we press into the right foot and the left foot at the same time, shifting the hips down and forward. Focusing more on the left hip flexor than we are in splaying the chest open. So draw that rib cage back together. Engage the low belly. Take the hands down to frame the foot. Step back to downward facing dog. And do the same thing on the opposite side. So sweep the left foot forward. Dropping the right knee down. Keeping the right toes tucked under. Reach the hands up toward the sky. If you'd like to take the arms out of it, feel free to do so. Certainly if there's tension in the shoulders, maybe we leave the arms out for today. And then take those hands down. Step back to plank. We'll exhale through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, down dog. Take a moment. Breathe in and exhale. And then soften the knees. You can hop or step forward into forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, down, bend the knees deep, roll up, massage the spine as you come up, reach the hands up toward the sky. Breathe, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, plant those hands down, step back to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Open up, create space here through the spine. Exhale, down dog. Let's breathe into those legs. Step the right foot forward. Coming up into high lunge this time. Let's open the arms out into our cactus arms, opening the elbows wide. Breathe. And then we're going to rotate the shoulders, turning the palms are facing down toward the ground. The elbows really stay in place. Just rotating through the shoulders, then hands reach back up toward the sky. And then bring the hands down to frame the foot, step back to plank. Soften the knees, step the left foot forward. Do the same thing on the left side. Reach up through the arms, through the fingertips, drop those shoulders down and back. Then bend the elbows out to the sides. Rotate through the shoulders. See how much rotation we can get. Other times we're not aware of discomfort in the shoulders until we try to rotate them. Come back up. And then bring the hands down to frame the foot. Step back to plank. Exhale through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, down dog. Beautiful. Part of embracing today, embracing where we are, is embracing our bodies, where they are today, the strength that they have, where they've brought us. Embrace where you are right now, whether you like it or don't. Accept it and embrace it. Soften the knees, hop or step forward to fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, down, bend the knees deep, roll all the way up. Reach up, take that right hand on the left wrist and draw that left wrist across the center of the body. And then switch sides, left hand on the right wrist, draw that right arm without pulling the shoulder up into the ear. Draw the right side of the body into nice big length. Both hands reach up and we fold forward. Let's hold here for just a breath or two in our forward fold. Getting a little more length through the hamstrings. Notice if we're holding on to any tension, let it go. Release it. Now soften the knees, plant those hands down, step back to plank. Exhale to chaturanga. Inhale, lift up and open into upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. Softening in the knees, lift and extend the right leg up and back. Bend that knee, turn the hip open, gazing under the right armpit. Getting as much rotation as we can, but staying strong in the legs. Square the hips and the right foot forward in between the hands, planting the left foot down, turning those toes out slightly, coming up into warrior one. You can reach the hands up or keep them in heart center in prayer if we'd like. I'm going to take those arms and clasp the hands behind the back. So we're taking the arms down, reaching the knuckles down toward the ground. If it's comfortable, keeping the hands clasped. If not, we can just have the palms facing one another. Holding here in our warrior one. We're going to turn that left knee so it's pointed down toward the ground, so the hip rotates toward the ground. We're going to walk that left foot forward with the hands clasped still, hinging a little bit more forward at the hips as we reach the left foot off the ground, finding a warrior three. If we need to let go of the clasp, we certainly do that. Reach back through the left foot. Breathe up through that standing leg. Engage the core. Then step the left foot far back on the mat again. Find our high lunge. Reach the hands up toward the sky so both knees and toes are pointed forward. Hands come into heart center. We stay long through the spine. Hinge forward and then twist toward the right side. We can hook the left knee on the right thigh, or you can just focus on the twist, not worrying about that hook. Keeping the hips drawing in toward one another. And then come back to center. Bring the left hand down to the ground. We're going to turn the left hip down toward the ground. Rotate the right leg open to the side, coming into side plank. Right hand reaches up toward the sky, knowing we can modify by taking the left knee down to the ground. And then bringing that right hand back down to the ground. Sweep the right foot forward to the outside of the right hand. The left knee comes down to the ground. We're going to stay wide in our stance, making sure that the right foot is far enough forward that it's underneath the knee. We're going to find a lizard stretch so we can stay here on the hands. Maybe we come down a little bit deeper onto those elbows and the forearms. We could use a block here. Focusing on opening up through the left hip flexor. So we're going to keep reaching back through the toes at the same time. Deep into that right hip, the right inner thigh. Now press back up into the hands, making sure the hands are directly underneath the shoulders. In our plank arms, tuck the toes of the left foot under, bringing ourselves off that left knee. Walk the right foot back just a little bit so we can lift the right leg off the ground, right knee to right elbow, so our knee to elbow plank. And then press back into plank. Exhale to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, sweep back into down dog. Very nice, beautiful. Soften the knees, left leg reaches up and back. Bend that knee, turn the hip open. Reaching the heel toward the glutes. Rotating. Making sure it feels okay on the shoulders where we go. Constantly listening to the body. Then square the hips as the left foot comes forward in between the hands. The right foot plants down as the toes turn out. We come up into our warrior one. Again, choosing our arm position that we prefer, but committing to it. Find that position and then commit to it. Find your breath. And then let's clasp the hands again behind the back if it feels good. Focusing on heart and chest open, or allow yourself to be vulnerable in your practice. Again, especially as you're practicing at home. Let those emotions come up. Let them swell and come out. And then rotating the right hip so that the knee and toes are pointed down toward the ground. Inching that right foot forward, and then eventually lifting it off the ground as we hinge forward into the left hip, finding a warrior 3 balance. Breathe up and out of the left foot. So instead of sinking down into the left hip, let's lift up and out of it. And then dropping that right foot far back, coming into our high lunge. Open up, feel good there. Hands come down into heart center. We lengthen through the spine, hinge forward at the hips. Then twist toward the left side. And again, as we do, let's notice, I'm going to keep that right hip from dropping and sinking down toward the ground. Keep reaching back through the right heel. Stay active here without fighting the twist. Maybe get a little deeper. And then bringing those hands back down to the mat. The right hand stays down. We turn the right hip down toward the ground as we walk the left leg out and around, finding our side plank. Beautiful. Love the strength. Embrace the challenge. Take it a little more intense if you like, or take it down a notch if that's what you need today. And then bringing the left hand back down to the mat. Sweep that left foot forward to the outside of the left hand. We're going to walk it again far enough forward that the foot is under the knee. Dropping the right knee down to the ground, but keep reaching through the toes. We're going to place the top of the foot on the mat. Keep reaching back through those toes. Start to bend a little deeper maybe into the elbows. As we do, that left knee, depending on our hips and the availability there, it might open up to the side slightly. Certainly going to feel some resistance down into those hips, especially if we've been sitting a lot. Maybe doing a lot of forward and back moving, not much lateral side to side movement. We may feel quite a bit of resistance here. Keep breathing. Inhale, exhale. This is where we practice especially that deep breath, maybe that Ujjayi breath, the inhale and the exhale that's deeper in the throat. And then we're going to press up into the hands again. Our plank arms, so strong arms, walking our left foot out to the side just slightly, then lifting the left knee off the ground. So that right knee's got to be off the ground now. Knee to elbow plank. And press back into plank. Exhale to chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. Hold there and breathe. Softening the knees, we'll lift and extend the right leg up and back. Bend the knee, turn the hip open, maybe flipping our dog over this time. That's an option that we can take. Or just hold that knee open, hip open position. And then send it back over when we're ready. Sweep the right foot forward in between the hands. Come back up into our warrior 1. This time we're going to choose eagle arms. So we're going to bend in the elbows, sweep the right arm underneath the left, crossing the forearms if it's available, maybe clasping the hands. If that doesn't work, we'll just do forearm to forearm or just choose something else. Think about opening up the back here. Lengthen through the spine, hinge forward at the hips, bring the fingertips down to the ground to frame that right foot. We could use a block here, lift the left foot up toward the sky, find standing splits. So this time the crown of the head is releasing down toward the ground. We're letting go of any tension in the neck. We can use the fingertips, we can use the full hand. We could even challenge our balance by taking one hand, maybe the other, wrapping them on that right leg. Take another breath here. And then we're going to step the left foot far back on the mat, and we're going to windmill the arms up and open into a warrior 2 and then directly into a reverse warrior. So the right hand reaches out and over the head toward that left back leg. We're going to stay bent in the right knee. And then reach the hands back up into warrior two. Hold here. Take an inhale and then press back through the right leg. Give that right leg a break. And exhale back down. Inhale, press up into a straight leg. Exhale back down. Let's add the arms into that this time. Inhale, reach the hands up toward the sky. And exhale back down into it. Transitioning from here into a a balancing half moon. So we're going to step the left foot forward. Keeping ourselves rooted and grounded in the right foot with the right toes pointed forward. Maybe using a block here underneath the right arm. Bringing the right hand to that block or the ground. Lifting the left foot off the ground. Reaching it toward the back wall, the back of our mat. Lifting the left hand up toward the sky. Modifications here would be to keep both hands on the ground or the block. And maybe we just turn the left hip open slightly, turning the toes to the side. Or we can keep the left hand on the left hip. Seeking as much balance and length in the body here. So instead of letting the right rib cage drop down toward the ground, let's lift up through the right rib cage. Soften in the right knee. Breathe. Maybe even challenge balance here by taking the right fingertips off the block or the mat. And then releasing the fingertips both down to the ground. We're going to drop the left leg back down to the ground. Let that knee come down to the ground. Find our low lunge again. This time taking the hands to the hips. Shifting the hips down and forward. Breathe here. Just creating a little assistance, taking the hands maybe onto the top of the left glute. Shifting that left hip forward. And then bringing the hands down to the ground. Let's sweep the right leg back. And lift up into downward facing dog. I'm going to bend the right leg. Bend the knees. Lift and extend the right leg up toward the sky. Bend that right knee. Turn the hip open again. And just take some circles of that right hip. Breathe into it. And then release that leg down. Let's lift and extend the left leg up this time. Bend the knee. Turn the hip open. Maybe flipping our dog over again if we'd like. Option here. Keep breathing. And then send it back over when we're ready. Step the left foot forward in between the hands. Again, rooting the feet, finding that foundation, then coming up into our warrior one. Choosing our eagle arms again, so bending the elbows, wrapping the left arm underneath the right. Open the back. Feel good there. Notice a little roundedness. Drop the shoulders down out of the ears. Lengthen through the spine. Begin to hinge forward at the left hip. Bring the fingertips down to the ground as we reach the right leg off the ground and up toward the sky. We take the head and relax it down toward the ground. Let any tension fall out of the spine. We can keep those fingertips down. Keep them as close as we can to the left foot because we're trying to keep all the weight as much as we can on that left foot. So take as much out of the right fingertips and the left fingertips as possible. Find our balance with the toes spread wide on our base leg. Maybe even challenge our balance a bit here by taking the hands off. And then bring the hands back down. Step the right foot far back on the mat. Windmill up and open into our warrior two and directly into our reverse warrior. Find that big lateral stretch in the left side of the body. And then floating back up to warrior two. Doing that bending and straightening of the legs. So we're going to inhale, press into the left leg, straighten it out. Exhale, back down. Inhale, press into it. Exhale, back down and adding the arms this time. Inhale, press into it. Hands reach up toward the sky. Exhale, back down. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, press in. Exhale, back down. Transitioning into our balancing half moon. Reach forward with the left fingertips. Walk the right foot forward. Bring the left fingertips down to a block. Several feet in front of the left foot or the ground. We can always use the ground. Right hand reaches up toward the sky. I really like to use the block just to give ourselves a little bit more lift. We could use a chair, maybe a couch, whatever we have, sturdy water bottle. Holding open here, so rotating the right rib cage up toward the sky, similar to what we're trying to achieve in our side plank. Take another breath there. Keep reaching through the right foot and pressing strong into the left foot. And then sweeping that right foot far back on the mat. Well, first bring the hands down, then step that right foot far back on the mat. Let's let the right knee come down to the ground. Lift up into our low lunge. Bringing the hands gently to the hips, shifting the hips down and forward. Nothing forceful here. Taking those hands, maybe gently applying a little pressure to the right glute. Keep it engaged, reminding it to stay awake, work hard for us. And then let's bring the hands down to the ground to frame the foot. Step back to plank. Exhale through our chaturanga all the way down to the ground. Release down. We're going to bring the hands out in front of us to a Y position with the palms facing down on the mat. We're going to lift up just a little bit through that chest. So the tops of the feet and the legs, everything's on the mat here. I'm going to take the elbows off the mat and grip the ground, grip that earth with the hands, the palms of the hands. You can even bend the fingertips a little bit, almost like spider hands. I'm going to pull back through those arms, pull back through the shoulder blades, really engaging deep there in the shoulder blades, right below the shoulder blades in the serratus anterior. Engage there. Engage. Pull back. Lift up through the chest. Make sure it feels good. And then release down out of that. We're going to take the hands and reach them behind, or reach them toward the back edge of our mat. Let the head fall down to the ground. Just take a moment here to breathe. And then what we're going to do is lift up into a locust. We're going to take an inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to lift everything we can off the mat. So just the belly, and maybe the hip region, the rib cage on the mat, everything else. Let's lift it off if we can. Reach out through the top of the head without lifting the chin out and squashing that the cervical spine. Keep that spine long. Release down, press into the hands. Let's come back into our child's pose. Reaching the fingertips forward and the tailbone back toward the heels. And we're going to go ahead and lift up into our all fours position. We're going to step that left foot forward. Step the right foot forward to meet it. Inhaling to flat back. Exhale down, bend the knees deep, come all the way up. Reach the hands up toward the sky, then bring them down into heart center. Now as we do, we're going to peel that right foot off the ground, balancing here on the left leg only, so that right knee is bent right out in front of us. We're going to bend into the left knee and then cross the right leg over the left, the right arm underneath the left for our eagle pose. Find a focal point that will help us to maintain our balance, to breathe. Engage the core, wrap those legs as tight as we can. That right leg may even find itself around the calf of the left leg. And then lift up and out of that back into the standing bent knee. Taking the hands and wrapping them around the right leg as we draw the right leg tight in toward the body. So we move here into a standing leg extension. If we like, we can clasp the right fingertips around the right big toe. We could use a strap here. Place it underneath the right ball of the foot or around the arch, or we could even use a shirt or a towel. We're going to extend the right leg out in front of us. If we need a little bit of assistance, we're going to go to a wall and hold on to the wall just as lightly as we can to maintain our balance. standing leg extension. Keep lifting up and out of the left foot. And then we're going to release that foot down. Do the same thing on the opposite side. So inhale, lift the left knee out in front of us, fingertips reach up toward the sky. Make sure we feel nice and stable through the right foot. Bringing the hands down into heart center. We're going to bend into the right knee. Cross the left leg around the right. So almost where the left hamstring is atop the right thigh. Left arm underneath the right arm. It might feel a little awkward here at first if we're not used to it. Creating level hips, engaging everything in the center so we make it nice and tight in the center and find our focal point. Take another breath here. Inhale, exhale. Make sure we're not holding our breath in an attempt to balance. And then lift back up. Reach the hands up toward the sky. Draw that left knee in toward the chest. Hug it in there. See how nice and tall we can stand as we do that. Requires a little hip flexor flexibility here in the right side in particular as we press down through the right foot and lift that left knee away from the ground. And then finding our standing leg extension. So again, if we'd like to interlace the first two fingers on the left foot around the left big toe, we can certainly do that and extend the leg. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. We can keep a bend in the left knee. If we have that clasp, we're going to continue to pull back through the left shoulder so we don't create a lot of roundedness there on the left side of the body. Take another breath. Inhale, exhale, and release that leg. Place the foot down on the ground. I'm going to step the feet a little wider than hip distance, turning the toes out so the balls of the feet, maybe they come off the mat, the heels are still on the mat. Reach the hands up toward the sky and just circle the arms down toward the back, up and round. Sweep them down toward the back, up and around. Inhale, reach them up and all the way back. Another time, inhale, lift them up and back. Let's just take one circle forward. Inhale, round the arms forward, sweep them down and back. Inhale, lift them up toward the sky. Bring the hands together in heart center in prayer. We're just going to bend into the knees, dropping the hips down toward the ground, coming into a garland pose, malasana, this deep plie, coming all the way down to our furthest point. See how far and low we can get with a long spine. So we want to try to release the back. This feels nice should feel nice on the back. Challenging for the hips here. A lot of us, especially in Western cultures, do not spend a lot of time in these deep squats. Most of the time we bend our knees about 90 degrees and that's it. Taking the opportunity to work on this deeper extension. Find your breath, come back to it. Notice the spots of tension in the body and actively release that with the breath. Take another inhale, another exhale. And let's bring the fingertips down to the ground. We're going to use the hands to lift up, press the feet into the mat, walk the feet forward, finding our forward fold. So making that transition as smooth as you can. And bend the knees deep, drop the hips down and back. We're going to find a chair. Let's keep the hands into heart center for now. Get a little deeper in the chair as we send the tailbone back, the knees toward the heels. We're going to peel the heels off the ground. Get a little deeper. Bring that tailbone all the way down to the heels if we can. And then we're going to open the knees wide, sending the heels and the soles of the feet together, bringing the hands several inches in front of the feet, maybe a foot or two. And we're going to come into our crow balance, so bending the elbows that we're like doing chaturanga. Elbows are coming back toward the body. We're sending the gaze about a foot or so in front of the fingertips, and then lifting up off the ground. Maybe finding a little more availability if we bring those feet together. thinking about engaging the core here more so than the arms. Of course, the arms are working, we're balancing on them. But engage the core, lift the belly button to the spine. Press strong into the hands, all corners of the hands, engage them. A little more weight probably into the wrist area. And then bring the toes back down to the ground. Draw those legs together. Let the knees come down to the ground. Lift all the way up onto those knees, keeping the toes tucked under. Reach the hands up toward the sky. Circle those arms all the way around and back, creating fists with the hands. Place them on the small of the back. Lift up through the crown of the head. And then find a modified camel. We haven't done a lot of back extensions today, but if it feels available, certainly fall back into a full camel if you like. We just want to keep the pelvis neutral. So we're dropping the pelvis back. We're really getting more into the quads than we are in the heart and the chest. So paying attention to that. And lifting up from here, we're going to sit the tailbone back toward the heels and let the left hip come down to the ground. We're going to swing that right leg all the way around, wrapping it around the left. So the left knee is bent on the bottom. The right knee is pointed up toward the sky. We're staying tall here, going into a twist. We're going to twist toward the right side. We can hug the left arm around the right knee. We could even hook the elbow around the right thigh. And we're going to create a little resistance using that right hand. If we back up to a wall, we might use the right hand on a wall. Otherwise, we're going to take the fingertips down to the ground. Look out over the right shoulder, only taking that head as far as the rest of the spine is twisted. Maybe we look back over the left shoulder, just getting a little opposite movement in the neck. Take it over the right shoulder, the gaze, and over the left. And as we keep breathing, maybe we get a little deeper on each exhale. And then come back to center. We're going to switch sides there in our twist. So unwind the legs, cross the opposite leg. So the left knee is pointed toward the sky. The right knee is pointed forward. Draw the right heel as close as we can toward the body. Lift up through the crown of the head. Long spine, and then twist toward the left side. Again, choosing how deep and intense we want to take the twist. We're going to try not to force it or fight it, especially when it comes to the spine. Let's not fight it. Let it be a natural twist that feels good, and we challenge ourselves to get deeper, of course, without forcing anything. Take another breath there. Inhale. Exhale. And then we're going to come back to center. Again, come up on to the knees. Actually, come up onto the shins. So we're sitting basically on the shins with the knees bent. Sitting the tailbone back onto the heels. I'm going to untuck the toes so that we have the tops of the feet on the mat. This is going to be a hero's pose. So I'm going to listen to our knees here. If this is not comfortable for us, we're going to lay down on the side of the body and do an old-fashioned quad stretch, one leg at a time. Otherwise, what we're going to do here with both knees bent, maybe we take the heels out to the sides of the hips to create a little bit more space. Kind of listen to our body here. We're going to try to keep the knees and those shins down on the ground, so not let them pop up. And start to let the back go back toward the mat, the chest fall back, and we can keep the arms back there for support. We can bend the elbows. We maybe come down onto the forearms. We could even put something behind us, a couple pillows. If we have a bolster, we could place a bolster back there. Maybe even a block might help to create a little bit more comfort. It's not the most comfortable position if we have to prop ourselves up with the elbows, but certainly it should feel good and a nice big stretch through the quads. We worked them hard today. Maybe even lay all the way out on the mat. Again, if the knees are popping off the mat though, or if we feel any sort of pain or discomfort in the knees, make sure to be gentle here. We do need to get those knees to be a little bit more mobile, but that doesn't mean pushing through pain. There's definitely a difference. Keep breathing and practice that deep breath. Inhale, exhale. Take another breath. Inhale, exhale. And then slowly and carefully coming out of this position. We could roll to our sides or press back up. And then taking those legs all the way out in front of us, laying back down onto the back. The knees are going to be pointed up toward the sky, feet about hip distance apart. Interlace the hands behind the head. Draw those elbows so they're pointed up toward the sky. We're just going to hold our head like it's in a little basket. Try not to pull on the head here. Lengthen out the spine, thinking about belly button toward the spine. We're not going to actively just crunch the low back into the mat, but draw it into nice big length. So the whole spine is nice and long. Belly button strong, lower belly engaged. Take an inhale here on the exhale. Lift everything off the mat. The shoulder blades. Get up as high as we can without pulling on the head. Chin is tucked about an orange width distance between the chin and the chest. Continue to engage the core. Keep breathing. So we're not holding our breath here. We're continuing to breathe. Release down. Let's take the hands to a T position and then let the legs collapse over toward the right side. Over toward the left. Just windshield wipering the legs. Bring them back to center. We're going to do the same thing again. Interlace the fingertips behind the head. Wrap those elbows so they're pointed toward the sky. Take a breath in. On the exhale, lift everything off. Again, notice the core here. Notice the back. If we're arching the back and letting that belly pooch out, let's draw it back in. And then we're going to turn toward the right side. As we do, take the left hand and reach it out to the outside of the right thigh. Bring it back to center. Turn toward the left side. Reach the left hand out to the outside of the right leg. Come back to center. Hold here at the top. Release down. Hands come to the sides of the body. Press into those feet. Peel the vertebra of the spine off one at a time, starting with the tailbone, moving all the way up right to where the tops of the shoulders are. Maybe we come up a little higher in our bridge, tucking the shoulders underneath the body, clasping the hands if that feels nice for you today. Breathe here. Openness through the belly, the heart, the chest. Press actively into both feet without forcing anything. Release down. Hands come to a T. Let the legs, again, windshield wiper to the right side. Look over the left shoulder. You can spend just a few more moments here than the last time. Bring them back to center. Go to the other side. And then come back to center. We're going to hug the knees in toward the chest. Take the chin up into the knees. Get a nice tight ball. Maybe hold the breath. Create a little tension here. And then let it all go. At the end of our practice, if there's anything else we'd like to add before we come into Shavasana, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we'll end in Shavasana, spending a few moments here, maybe upwards of 5, maybe even 10 minutes. You can certainly move into a seated meditation at this time. Definitely making sure to take the time to just let go, releasing any last tension in the body, allowing the breath to become natural. and thanking ourselves for taking this time out of our day to take care of our mind, our body, our spirit. Look forward to seeing you again next time.